Welcome back to Tarot by the Bay. I'm David. All right, I think this is a reading that's coming due. I've never done a deep dive into Michael Cohen, at least not to my memory. So, how about we do that? He's got the trial coming up where he's going to be testifying against Donald Trump for the Stormy Daniels payment and hiding that from the electorate, to which he was convicted of felonies and served time in prison. Let's look at him, see what's going on in his life. Don't need a big intro. Y'all know who he is. Let's just dive in, shall we? Entertainment purposes only. What's going on in the life of Michael Cohen right now? Okay, what do I got? I have an upside down deck. He's ready to testify. He's putting on the brave face and ready to basically tell his truth. One of the things that I think a lot of people, well, I appreciate it, I'm assuming other people appreciate it in the United States, is a good retribution story. That is the right word, right? Anyways, he's had his fall from grace, and it was a pretty hard fall, and I can imagine that it wouldn't take many people, 5-6 years ago to think, when he was Avenatti was attacking Cohen and Trump, and you hear about Cohen's bulldog-like protection of Trump. All of us would have loved to have seen that guy fall hard and stay down. But what we've seen is somebody who, did take that fall and recognized the errors of his ways, and then has tried to do his part to push people away from Trump and the autocracy that comes with him. Ultimately, we'll find out what Michael Cohen's long-term ambitions and beliefs are. But for right now, he's on the right side of history. And Americans really do appreciate somebody who has been arrogant like that, a bully, obnoxious, has a huge fall, and then tries to be a better person. Who wouldn't root for somebody like that? Some folks might say, I'll never forgive him for all the stuff he did leading up to that. But, in some ways you have to kind of look at the guy's life, before his felony and after his felony, and take a look. Anyways, getting ready for his trial. Crossed with the Four of Wands, it's opening day. There's not been many instances that he has been in court with Trump. I believe he was in court with Trump a few months ago, I think involving this trial. But, here we go. It's showtime. And underneath it is just kind of a disappointment. There might be some shame that's involved with Michael Cohen for his actions. Because, again, in this court case is going to be a reminder of the stuff that he did that got him convicted of felonies and sent him to prison. And I do remember in his testimony, I believe, to Congress, that he didn't want to tell, he was hiding this because he didn't want to tell Melania that his heart was going to break for Melania. I don't know if he still feels that way, but that's how he felt at the time. But no, it's shameful because he has to go back to the scene of the crime and reflect on the stuff that he did and the damage he did to others. But he's coming back as somebody who is a different person. So even though his actions may have knocked down cups, he is now, because he's worked on himself and he's on the right side of history, cups are being put back up in place. He can't fix Stephanie Clifford's life. He can't undo what happened in the election, but he can make things right and make sure the jury understands that Donald Trump needs to be held accountable for his actions. And here we go. In the past, you've got the justice card. Michael Cohen has served his time. He's been convicted. He served his time. He's still in probation. He's trying to get out of probation, but currently the courts won't let him off probation. But he's done his deal. I believe he lost his law license in the process. I haven't looked that up to confirm, and I saw somebody writing that in the comments. And disgraced lawyer, but now again on the comeback trail here. Maybe other people, he may not, he may have screwed up for justice for himself, but that doesn't mean he can't help other people get justice. Current situation is the Queen of Pentacles. He will be presenting information of value. His testimony is valuable. He's one of multiple people. Karen McDougal and Stephanie Clifford's testimonies are going to be valuable, as will Rona Barrett, and there was one other woman that worked for Trump, or Hope Hicks. There's a bunch of women here with valuable testimony that we're going to hear about, and Michael Cohen will be able to add color to their testimonies because he was Trump's fixer. He was the lawyer. He was the right-hand man doing all this, and he can point out who was doing what, when, where, and why. Overarching energy is a celebration. I don't think I have to say too much more on that, do I? But let's say it anyways, just so we said the words. Here are the women's chance to shine. They are going to come in here and they're going to shine in this trial. The lesson to be learned is the Five of Swords. Michael Cohen took the fall for Donald Trump. He's not taking the fall for anybody anymore. Michael Cohen may still have some legal troubles of his own that he has to deal with, but you better believe his goal on this one is to make sure that Donald Trump pays for what Donald Trump did. I do not think Michael Cohen's going to lie on the stand because there's no sense in getting yourself a perjury charge and then having to go back to prison. I don't think he's interested in that even in a little bit. But he is going to be very candid and very blunt about what Trump did. But you know what? So are these women. Everybody in this trial, nobody is going to be holding back. Nobody's going to be playing nice. Karen McDougal would be the one most likely to be playing nice. But Stephanie Clifford, Stormy Daniels is not going to. Michael Cohen is definitely not going to in this. Outcome is the Ace of Cups. I think when this trial is said and done, Michael Cohen might take a vacation. It's as much of a vacation as you can take when you're on parole. But I think he's exhausted. He's emotionally exhausted with this. And there's probably no small amount of anxiety that comes with this case because you're dealing with Donald Trump and you're dealing with Donald Trump who likes to act like he's a mafia don. When he said Michael Cohen equals death, is that a message saying that he plans on ordering a hit on Michael Cohen? Because it's very reasonable to come to that conclusion from that. I'd like to think Michael Cohen is death all right. He's going to bring a death to your freedom. Now, that being said, listening to a couple of TikToks with people who probably know the law way better than I do, the felonies that Trump is on the hook for aren't necessarily felonies that get people prison time. Which I don't quite understand because it sure as heck got Michael Cohen prison time. But maybe it's a little bit different. I'm not sure. Okay. Michael Cohen, is he worried about his safety? Or will Michael Cohen be Michael Cohen and Stephanie Clifford and Karen McDougal and other witnesses, but mostly Michael Cohen. This is a Michael Cohen rating. Will he be safe up to and through the trial? Will he and his family be safe? When Donald Trump is saying, Michael Cohen is death, something to consider. Knight of Cups. People going forward with false friends, false accusations. It might be just an intimidation bluff by Trump, the former friend, the false friend of his. But the bluffs, the threats aren't going to stop. Trump is going to continue to threaten him. I'm asking if he's going to be okay. Trump, it's not answering the question, I don't think. Because I don't think of, you could say, okay, is this Michael Cohen in the security detail? Is this Michael Cohen bringing testimony to the trial? Um, Basically, I think it's going to be a while before Michael Cohen is truly safe. Because if Trump's convicted, his people are going to look at Michael Cohen as the traitor. Because Trump's going to tell them that Michael Cohen's the traitor. And they don't have a collective thought between the lot of them when Dear Leader tells the cult who to hate and who to go after. Maybe the gag order does help protect him on this one. But I'm sure Trump's, you know what this is going to be? Trump's agents are going to call out Michael Cohen. I think that's more what's going to happen. Because Trump can't do it. He's gagged. All right. Is he going to be safe? In the past, we got the King of Wands. Again, I'm going to make this my Michael Cohen card for this reading because I don't think it's Judge Mershon. Well, it could be Judge Mershon too. A gag order was issued. So, you got to play nice type of thing. But Michael Cohen's also here ready to testify. And he's already, again, done his time. But he's also taken steps to get security protection for he and his family. Because he knows what Trump's capable of. He's not stupid. Well, this card's looking familiar. Card situation is Queen of Pentacles. He has a lot, again, he has important things to say for this case in some ways, which is why he has to protect himself. But it's also why Trump is going to go through third-party channels to try and intimidate the witness. Yeah, there you go. There's your QAnon crazy card. Overarching energy. Yeah, the QAnon, the death threats are going to keep coming in from the crazies, the Looney Tunes that are out there. Because, again, they don't have any critical thinking skills. They're slavering idiots that do whatever Dear Leader tells them to do. If Dear Leader hands them a poison cup, they will happily drink from it and call it tea. Lesson to be learned from this is the Six of Coins. To me, this is like... It's like the witness protection program or the government providing protection. They will probably give him supplemental protection during the trial. But after the trial's done, Michael Cohen's kind of on his own. He's going to have to figure out his own protection. As long as this case is going, he probably gets assistance from the government for personal security. But after the trial is done... I'm sure that money goes up, and then it's on him to do this. Outcome, Five of Cups. God, some of these cards are really looking familiar. Is he going to be safe? He's going to be worried about his and his family's safety after all this is said and done. I don't think he will ever fully feel safe. Not for a long time. This is going to have to be one of those ones where Trump dies... And years have passed to the point where the Freedom Caucus, MAGA, and Trumpism have died off. But some of these people, they are going to be Trumpers for the rest of their lives. So Michael Cohen's just going to have to be careful where he goes, especially like in rural areas, in places like that, just because he's recognizable. He's got a very recognizable face. He doesn't just blend in. He's, and I don't mean that as intimidation or anything. I think he's got a very recognizable face, and I think he'll be harassed a lot, again, for the rest of his life, by people who have drunk deep from the cult of Trump and just view Michael Cohen as a traitor to Donald Trump. And they just will never listen to reason because they're indoctrinated. They've made Trump their whole identity. And they can't let go of that. I swear, it's seltzer water with lime juice in it. Totally not a margarita. Might need more lime juice. More lime juice. Okay. Will Michael Cohen's testimony. It really is seltzer water and lime juice. Here, I'll breathe on the. See, you can't smell alcohol on that. Total vindication. Will Michael Cohen. For those of you who just, I blew on the camera. If you're not watching and you're wondering what the heck that was, I blew on the camera. You can just make it. Hi, I'm not drunk at all. Why are you saying that? A red skeleton. Okay, with Guzzler's Gin. There you go. There's your nostalgia throwback. Michael Cohen's testimony. Will it be effective? Will Michael Cohen's testimony in this court case be effective? The world card. Oh, I think so. I think so. And this might be hopefully this is the last case he testifies at. I mean, he wouldn't really be testifying in the January 6th case. He wouldn't be testifying in the Mar-a-Lago documents case. He wouldn't be testifying in the Georgia RICO case. The only other cases he would be testifying is if, like, again, Stormy Daniels or somebody like that was bringing a civil suit against Trump, and Michael Cohen might have had something to do with, peripherally, like non-disclosure agreements or hush money payments, arranging, abortion doctors or something along those lines. He might be involved in the periphery, but if there aren't other cases like that, I expect this is going to be the last court case that he has to testify, but it's a big one, and I think he's going to bring this baby home. He's going to help land the plane here. Cross with temperance. Yeah, this is actually, there he is again. I'm pretty sure King of Wands in this reading is Michael Cohen. I think his testimony is really going to bring this case full circle, because he's there at the beginning and he's there till the end. And he's like the narrator in this story. He's the narrator in this story that's telling, as the potion, this toxic potion that is Donald Trump has created through this whole story, he's the narrator who can explain all the ingredients that went into this potion, how it was mixed up, what the intentions were, everything along those lines. It's a slow process to do this, but again, he's the person who can explain the intent. He can explain the motivations behind things. He can explain what was happening in the room, what the vibe was in the room, that sort of thing. He's actually a really, really valuable witness, which is why they're trying so desperately to discredit him. Because if you can discredit him, it makes it easier for unreasonable doubt to creep in. Not reasonable doubt, unreasonable doubt. Two major arcana here. So, yeah, he plays a big role in all this. In the past, yeah, he's the money guy. I would take a bullet for this man. He's there, again, beginning to end. He knows all about the money. Weisselberg knows even more about the money issue, but Cohen was involved in the payments. He was involved with how the payments were going to be handed over. He was involved with the compensation and how the compensation was going to get billed. He was involved with David Pecker in the Catch and Kill stories. His DNA is all over this. And again, he can explain everything. Star witness. Stephanie Clifford, Stormy Daniels is going to be a star witness in her own right. But Stephanie Clifford's testimony, that's going to be more the gossipy details. Salacious, I think, is the word I'm looking for here. She's going to be the one that adds all the flavor and spice to the soup. But Michael Cohen is going to be the stock and the base of this soup. He's going to, he's basically 90% of it. Stephanie Clifford and Karen McDougal, they're going to add the spice and the flavor and the pizzazz to it, if you will. But Cohen's a star witness in this. Again, this is why they're going after him so hard. Overarching energy is the Page of Pentacles. He can talk about Donald and the grifting that he does. He could talk about Donald and the money. Who is saying who about what when it comes to money and payments and, covering this whole thing up. Yeah. And there's those audio recordings too. I remember the audio recording of Cohen correcting Donald Trump on how, I think Trump was talking about paying off in cash, and Cohen's like, no, 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 no. We're gonna write a check. And he's right there in the room. He's on the tape. He knows all about the money. And who was saying what about the money? Lesson to be learned: heartbreak and betrayal. I want to say he's moved past this. Cohen's moved past the heartbreak and betrayal part of it. No, again, this is the guy that famously said he would take a bullet for Trump. He treated Trump like a father figure. But Trump treated him just like he treats all his children that aren't named Ivanka. Any male children, anyways. He treated them like garbage. Threw them under the bus when it was convenient. The loyalty that Trump always demands from others, Cohen delivered. And Trump never reciprocates. So, Michael Cohen, I hope he's dealt with his daddy issues. If he hasn't, please, if you're listening to this, I doubt you are, but if you are, or one of your loved one is listening to this, talk with your therapist about the daddy issues that led you to put Donald Trump on a pedestal and worship at it. Just like a lot of people do. I mean, better or worse than anybody else for that. A lot of people have fallen for it. But it was almost like a father figure type thing. And, getting thrown underneath that's got to be emotionally challenging for the guy. And, I think he would just as soon, he didn't have to do this, but he's going to do it now, in part because it's therapeutic for him, but in part because it's just, the right thing to do. And, again, for the Michael Cohen haters out there, I get it. He did awful things, but in this situation, he's doing the right thing. We'll see what he does with his life after this. But right now, he's on the right side of history, and he's trying to push people to the right side of history. The other thing to consider is if Michael Cohen can redeem himself, if Michael Cohen can hit that rock bottom, dust himself off, and realize he'd been played for a fool, there might be other people that could do it too. And Michael Cohen, it might be one of those people that can reach out to him. You and I as Democrats can't reach out to him. Just can't. They won't listen to us. We're the enemy. Michael Cohen is something else. Outcome, King of Swords. I think his testimony is going to be quite decisive. We got the World card, the Star card, and the King of Swords. Yeah, Michael Cohen's going to spare. He's not going to spare the rod on this one. You have the King of Wands and the King of Swords. What he says is going to be cutting. And that, again, this is exactly why Trump and his team are desperate to find dirt on Michael Cohen. I've got a little article here saying that Trump's attorneys are trying to subpoena email records between Michael Cohen, Karen McDougal, and Stephanie Clifford, Stormy Daniels, to see if they're colluding, trying to get their story straight, to prove that Donald Trump's innocent because everybody has to conspire against him. There's not going to be any there. That's the thing, is that Trump can't. He broke the law. He just did. And for somebody, as the comments pointed out, for somebody who's totally innocent, you sure are fighting this trial a lot for somebody who's totally innocent. I think you'd want to get to court sooner rather than later to clear your name. It's not like you're running for president or anything, Okay. Will the Trump legal team... Oh, God, they're terrible. Will the Trump legal team be able to diminish Michael Cohen's testimony? I mean, if they can subpoena the wrong guy, that is rich. That is just rich. They're amazing. Maybe they'll question the wrong Michael Cohen too. Oh, there's some poor Jewish people in New York that are just getting harassed for no good reason. Now, they could be German, but I'm assuming they're Jewish. Okay. What was the question, Michael? Oh, yes. Will they be able to diminish Michael Cohen in cross-examination? Four of Swords. I'm hoping Michael Cohen keeps his cool. Doesn't lose his temper. It just sort of answer their questions, not be too sarcastic and too combative. He may not be able to help himself here. Four of Swords. Let's see. Four of Swords is meditative. It's contemplative. It's retreating, taking a more thoughtful approach. So I'm asking if they're trying to diminish him. Let's see how the story pans out. Yeah. Okay, so here's the challenge here. Oh, okay. I was in the right ballpark. Michael Cohen has to be cool, calm, and collected because they are going to do stuff to try and get him to enraged and show him as being like not in control of his emotions and unhinged. So underneath it all, Michael Cohen's going to have to show strength, emotional strength and intellectual strength on this. They are going to try and bring up ugly stuff and they're going to try to force words into his mouth. They're going to try and accuse him of being the one that suggested stuff and Donald Trump is just following the guidance of his lawyers. That sort of thing. They're going to say stuff because Trump knows what'll provoke Michael Cohen. They're going to try and say stuff to provoke him. And it's up to Michael Cohen to maintain his composure. I'm telling you. I think I know what this card represents. Some people have asked in the comments, I've mentioned this a couple times, about how I read. Do I hear voices or anything like that? It's like, no, I just look at the cards and I try and piece together the story the best I understand it. So it is often helpful if I at least have a little bit of background on the story so I can kind of stay within the rails of things. And I do appreciate when Spirit makes things easy on me. I mean, we've only been talking about Michael Cohen this whole time, and this card has come up on every freaking spread. Cohen's given his testimony. They're going to try and hit him on cross-examination. They're going to try and hit him hard. They're going to just basically accuse him of being the mastermind of all this. Donald Trump was just some helpless victim. Stormy Daniels, that seductress that she is, clearly seduced Donald, and it was all Michael Cohen's idea to pay her to be quiet because Trump didn't do anything wrong. He was just taken advantage of by this nasty woman who he would never have relationships with. Yeah, they're going to try and blame him for it. And if they can't blame him for it, they're just going to try and beat him down with personal insults. Overarching energy is the Knight of Wands. They probably have done their opposition research well on Michael Cohen. And they're just going to hit him hard, and they're going to hit him often as part of their plan. They have... What I'm trying to say is, I really don't think they have a way to diminish the power of his testimony through counter evidence. All they're going to come up with are accusations, hearsay, stuff like that. Just... saying rude things, just trying to get him to lose his temper, and then have the jury diminish their value of Michael Cohen's testimony by just saying, oh, he's a hothead that wanted revenge, that kind of thing. And they're not going to be fair about it. They'll make stuff up. They will make stuff up because they know that this Michael Cohen's testimony is what this whole thing hinges on. He's already been to prison for it, and Trump is unindicted co-conspirator number 1 on this. So Michael Cohen is the one that can tie Trump to all of this, so they have to go out of their way to try and get rid of him and diminish him. Outcome is the King of Pentacles. I don't think they're going to be overly successful with this. I don't get the feeling that they're overly successful with this. In the end of the day, it's kind of a challenge between Michael Cohen and Donald Trump. It's going to be who's more believable at this point. I think that's what this is telling me. Who's going to be more believable, Michael Cohen or Donald Trump? So that sounds like a challenge reading to me. I think we will do a challenge reading. because realize all they have to do is try and convince a couple folks on the jury that wasn't Donald Trump's fault, it was Michael Cohen's fault. And just, again, it's not reasonable doubt, it's going to be unreasonable doubt. So, challenge reading. How believable Trump comes out, how believable Michael Cohen comes out. Let's talk about believability here. Because for the most part, this is a documents case. There's documents, there's checks, there's emails, there's text messages, there's testimony from the witnesses, depositions, all sorts of stuff. This is actually a really straightforward case, all things considered. What's not straightforward is the felony charges. I've got the Page of Pentacles here, messaging on the money. The fact that it involves an ex-president, and that you're dealing with cult members. So half the battle, or most of the battle in this one, is going to be getting rid of folks off the jury that won't be unbiased. That's going to be the biggest challenge for the prosecution and for the defense. The defense has got to find Trumpers that they can somehow slip past the questionnaires and such. Let's see. Okay, challenge reading. Key issue between the believability issue between Trump and Michael Cohen. It's just kind of people need to decide if they're unclear what this is like. Okay, well, which side do I believe? I've been hit with so much evidence, and it's contradictory evidence. How do I choose? For Trump, it's the High Priestess. I don't think of this as Trump having divine feminine wisdom. So to me, this is the withholding of information. It's not sharing divine wisdom. It's keeping things to yourself. It's speaking in half truths. Only telling part of the story, not the whole story. Yeah, Trump is going to try and make it that, he's just this rich person that poor people try to take advantage of, his generosity. He's also going to, what this is also, he has to demean the women too. He has to demean not only Michael Cohen, but he has to demean the women. He has to get them to not believe the women and the story the women are telling, because the story the women are telling makes perfect sense. So he's got to convince them that he wasn't paying them money to silence them about things that would embarrass him and hurt his election chances. It was about him being generous. He's a generous guy. He's got a problem, though, because the truth, again, because it's a documents case, they can see what he's done with the money. And again, you got the Access Hollywood tape. I don't know if that's being... Oh, you know what? The Access Hollywood tape, I don't think is being allowed, but they can talk about the tape itself. They just can't play the tape. Because I think playing the tape is not relevant, but talking about that tape being released was a motivation for him. They're gonna, Trump has to get rid of the women. He has to get people to not believe Michael Cohen and not believe the women, not believe what's staring him right in the face. You have to. He's counting on people to consciously ignore the testimony of these women, ignore the financials that are on there, and believe that he's like the last person in the world that would ever cheat on his wife, even though he's cheated on all his wives. What about Michael Cohen? Messaging. Michael Cohen's got messaging on his side because he's been out telling people pretty much the truth for years now, and he's done his time. Yeah, he's done his time, and I think he's coming across as trying to not take down Donald Trump per se, although that's his goal. His goal is more just to tell the truth so that people understand what was going on. Star witness, I think they're going to like what he has to say. Not so much like, but he's believable. The also thing with the star card is this is the calm after the storm. So he's gone through his Waterloo. He's gone through his personal hell. He's gone to prison. He's come out. He's got his podcast now, stuff like that. And all he's interested in doing now is getting justice in this case. In some ways, that's his revenge on Donald Trump, is to make sure Donald Trump is held accountable. Some might consider him to be a betrayer, but at the same time, I think Michael Cohen's heartbreak at having to do this. He would just as soon not have to do this if he could avoid it. Ooh, and there's that other thing again. He didn't want to tell Melania. That might be one of the most powerful things that he's got in his corner, is going to be his testimony that one of the reasons why he did what he did was to not hurt Melania's feelings, because he really liked and respected her. And I think that message is going to resonate, because why would he be saying that he's trying to protect Melania unless, the whole idea was to prevent Melania from finding out? If Melania and Donald were in an open relationship and it was okay for him to have sex with porn stars, they wouldn't need to hide it. And the fact that Donald Trump's, all his actions were about hiding this so that this embarrassing information wouldn't come out, it just seems to underscore that there was a conspiracy to pay these women off so that their story wouldn't come out. I mean, honestly, if you think back to 2016, how Donald Trump was, again, as the Access Hollywood tape comes out, why didn't he just own it? Yeah, I banged a porn star. You guys are just jealous. He's already telling us how rich he is and how smart he is, and how he's smarter than all the generals. He's smarter than all those other presidential candidates, and he's smart for not paying his taxes and stuff like that. He might as well just keep going all the way. Porn stars want to have sex with me. I'm so amazing. Why not? Why not lean into it? And the people that were supporting him, maybe other than the evangelicals, they're gonna love him that much more. Donald Trump tells it like it is. He sleeps with porn stars. Yeah, I think they will also understand that maybe the evangelical vote was kind of in play there, and if he did lean into it, or if this information did come out, it was at a very vulnerable time, and he was going to pay a political price for that. And that's going to be a very believable story, because it makes sense. It's simple and it makes sense. And that's ultimately what this case is about. It's following the simple thing, following the thing that makes sense, versus all this, conspiracy stuff and everything along those lines that requires everybody to be in conspiracy against poor old Donald. And it's going to be a whole lot of corroborating data, paper data, text, emails, all that stuff, all these communications that are going to implicate Trump for doing what he did. Now, probably some of the jurors might say, well, what does it matter? It shouldn't matter. But they don't get to decide that. They have to rule on the facts. And I think there might be enough sensible people on the jury that they'll be able to pull the folks that may be a little bit less sensible, maybe with a little less critical thinking. They might be able to pull them along to the end. I can read on that one as we get closer to the case ending and jury deliberation starting. Let's stop here. Thank you very much for watching this video and supporting my channel. I appreciate it. Thank you very much for your kind words, your thoughts, your prayers, your likes and shares, and everything you do to help build this channel up and feed the YouTube algorithm so it gets out to a wider audience. To folks just discovering this channel recently or for the first time, welcome to the channel. I'm glad you found us. I hope you found this reading insightful, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.